Today in the biology class, we want to look at one of the divisions of plants, which is called division Bryophyta. In the previous video, we have looked at division Bryophyta, where we discussed the structural features of Spirogyra. So, what we're talking about division Bryophyta, members of this division are called bryophytes. Members are called bryophytes. And examples of such members are examples of bryophytes are you have moss plants, you have liverworts, and you have horned liverworts. These are the three examples, but we are going to focus more of our attention on moss plants, the moss plant. So one more thing to know about this plant is that these plants are non-vascular plants. They are non-vascular plants. In the sense these plants are non-vascular plants, like the talophytes that we discussed before. You know, the talophytes are also non-vascular plants. So, our non-vascular plants belong to a group of seedless plants called cryptogams. So, non-vascular plants, non-vascular. What do I mean by non-vascular? We'll explain. Non-vascular plants belong to a group of seedless plants. A group of seedless plants called cryptogams. Cryptogams are the seedless plants that do not have vascular bundles. What do we mean? Now, vascular bundles are conducting tissues which higher plants, vascular plants use for absorption, transportation of soil, water, nutrients, and for distribution of manufactured food. So, plants, the vascular bundles is what looks like the vein and the arteries in our body, that our blood passes to do what? To be distributed. So in plants, you have two types of vascular bundles. You have the xylem and you have the phloem. The xylem is what the plant uses to absorb nutrients and water from the ground and transport it up the body of the plant. And when they use these nutrients, they carry out photosynthesis and they produce their own food then what happens? That manufactured food, the food that is produced by photosynthesis, is now redistributed from the site of production to every other part of the plant where they are needed. And that redistribution now is called translocation. And that translocation takes place in the second vascular bond we call phloem tissue. Phloem tissue. So, but these plants, they don't have the xylem tissue and the phloem tissue. They are called non-vascular plants. Then how do they survive? And that is why most of the time they are not established on land. They are not established on land. So they don't have the challenge that they want to absorb soil nutrients. So now, bryophytes are not established on land. Where can you find them? They are found attached to wall or rocky surfaces. When you see abandoned wall, you will see moss plants. That's where you see all these things. Abandoned wall. That's where you see them. On this abandoned wall, so when rain is falling, all the water that they need, all the water, the nutrient, they flow and bathe them. So the required, the needed water and nutrients needed bathe them in their spots. So when the rain is falling, it falls upon them, and their body, their leaves absorb those nutrients. So that is. So let's look at other features. Other features of bryophytes. Other features of bryophytes. Number one, they have callous body. We discussed, just like thallophytes that we discussed yesterday. They have thallous body. When we say thallous body, we said a body without true roots, true stem, or true leaves. So
this one, no. Look at it. In the evening.
They are roots.
Yes,
they are root-like structure. They are something that look like root in them. It's called rhizoid. So, but it is, why is it not root? It's not used for absorption. Only used for hold fast or for anchorage, to hold them to the surface they are attached to. Now, another thing to know about them is that most plants is leafy. That's leaves. But okay, let me just say most plants gametophyte. Let's use it like that. Or before that, let's just say they have two body parts. They have two body parts, such as gametophytes and sporophytes. Two body parts which are gametophytes and sporophytes. Now, in the gametophyte of most plants, I will show you all these things. Of most plants is leafy. It's like it has leaf. While that of liverwort,
Liver plant.
liverwort is ribbon. Ribbon like. It looks like a ribbon or heart shape. That's the shape of a heart or like a ribbon. So that is that. I'm going to show you. Then what is the gametophyte? What does it stand for? From the word gamete. The gametophyte is haploid. Is haploid. What do you mean by haploid? And it produces
Other things.
male
And female.
and female
Children.
gametes, such as sperms. These sperms are also called antheridia. The singular form of antheridia is antheridium. So, which are sperms and egg cells or ova. OVA. The singular form of ova is ovum. So that is the gametophyte. It produces gametes and it is haploid. What do we mean by haploid? Haploid means that they have half of the total number of chromosomes. Chromosomes are thread-like structures in a cell, in the nucleus of a cell that bears gene. And gene is what code for heritable properties. Things that used to resemble your parents are coded in the gene that are located on the chromosome. So let's not go into that place. That one is genetics. But then another thing to know here is that, so that means to tell you that the gametophyte reproduces sexually. So we are still coming there. Then another thing is that the sporophyte is diploid. Diploid can be represented by 2N. That is, they have complete number of chromosomes. Diploid. And it reproduces asexually by spore formation. It reproduces asexually by producing spore. Spores are tiny things that we can use to compare seed, but they are microscopic particles. Once the breeze blows and take them away, wherever they land and the environmental condition is favorable, they germinate. But when they are germinating, mind you, they are not going to form sporophyte again. They are going to form gametophyte. Take note of one thing, and that thing is point number 7. Now, I said the sporophyte is diploid and it reproduces asexually by spore formation to produce gametophyte. So sporophyte produces gametophyte and gametophyte produces sporophyte. So point number 7 is that gametophyte reproduces sexually to produce sporophyte. So the gametophyte produces sporophyte. The sporophyte produces gametophyte. But the sporophyte does its reproduction asexually. Asexually in the sense that it does not need male and female coming together. It does not need sperms to fertilize egg Are we there? It just produces spore. And when those spores are carried by wind, wherever they touch, and that place is not swept, is favorable, it germinates and forms gametophyte. And that gametophyte now, when they grow, they produce sperms, they produce eggs, and when these eggs and these sperms fertilize one another, then they form a zygote. And that zygote develops into sporophyte. So that type of generation in which the gametophyte produces sporophyte and sporophyte produces gametophyte is called alternation of generation. It's called what? Alternation of, they are alternating. So we can say that the bryophytes have two types of generation. They have sporophytic generation and gametophytic generation. Sporophytic generation is a generation that depends on sporophyte, while gametophytic generation is a generation that depends on what? On the gametophyte. So when the sporophytic and the gametophytic generation depends on one another for reproduction, you call it alternation of generation. They are alternating it. We're discussing features of bryophytes. Another one to know here is that the gametophytes or bryophytes is dominant over the sporophyte. What does that mean? Sporophyte cannot live without gametophytes in bryophyte too. This is because the gametophyte is green due to the possession of chlorophyll used for making food, making its own food by photosynthesis. So it carries out photosynthesis to make its own food, and that's why it's dominant. It does not depend on the sporophyte. So the sporophyte lacks chlorophyll. So, and as such, it depends on the gametophyte for food. So that is that. The spore case of sporophyte is called sporangium, plural, sporangia. So the container that produces spore in it. So it's time for me to show you what I'm talking about. This is moss plants. So this is a moss plant. You have seen these things attached to your wall, attached to walls. So don't know if you can see it properly. This is abandoned walls. So this is a moss plant. So cluster of them are together here. This is gametophyte of moss. I can remove one. This is one of them, a gametophyte. You can see it is leaf. It has leaves. It has tiny leaves. So you can see. So that is that. So that is moss plant. These are gametophyte. You can see. Okay, this is one, two, three. So these are the sporophyte. Look at them. Look at their head. Look at this thing. Look at the head. These are the spore case called sporangium. So look at this, the sporophyte. So you will see they are tiny things. You can see it has on its head. It has a spore case, which is the sporangium. So now let me use a pen to show. You can see them. Look at the sporangium here at the top. The sporangium is there. So you can see there. So that is that. So that is you can see. Can you see that is the spore case? So this green thinner can carry out photosynthesis because it has leaves that are green, and this one depends on it. Okay. So let me make a drawing of what I'm saying. Now something like this. So this is rhizoid, leaflets. So this constitutes the gametophyte. So why this is the sporangium? So this is seta. So this one constitutes the sporophyte. So what we have here is a diagram of a moss plant. This is a diagram of a moss plant. And don't forget, I said something number 9. Bryophytes. Bryophytes undergo alternation of generation. What does that mean? Alternation of generation means the ability of the sporophyte life to come from a gametophyte and the ability of the gametophyte life to come from the sporophyte. We have said before that the sporophytes undergo asexual reproduction by spore formation, and the spore landing in a suitable place germinates to produce gametophyte, not the sporophyte that produces it. When the gametophyte comes up, it produces male gamete and female gamete, which fertilize one another, and when they fertilize one another, they form a zygote that later develops to form a sporophyte. So the sporophyte comes from the gametophyte, and the gametophyte comes from the sporophyte. That's what called alternation of generation. Now let's look at the life cycle. The life cycle of a moss plant. This life cycle begins with the gametophyte. Let's start with the gametophyte. Can start with anything anyway. Let me start with the sporophyte. And on the gametophytes, the gametophyte is dominant. It's on top of the gametophyte that you have the sporophyte. So the sporophyte produces spore. And these spores, when they land on a suitable substrate, when the spores land on a suitable substrate, so when these spores land on a suitable substrate, it develops into the gametophyte. Then the gametophytes produce sperms and eggs. So let me use this small thing, the sperms, and when the two of them come together, fertilization takes place. And they form zygotes. Don't forget that this one is haploid. Why sporophyte is diploid, 2n, complete number of chromosomes. So this is n and this is n. When n combines with n, what does it form? It forms 2n. Zygote is 2n, which is now what? Which is now the what? The sporophyte. Are we there? So then the sporophyte also, when it forms spore, then the spores germinates and forms the gametophyte. So what we have here is the diagram of the life cycle of most plants. So are you finished drawing? Now let's look at the correction of this work. These are JAMB questions, selected JAMB questions. The first one is JAMB 1984, question 3. Mosses, liverworts, and fern can be grouped together because they what? What do they have in common? A, is it because they are aquatic plants? No. Why no? Fern is not an aquatic plant. So even most plants, they are attached to walls. They are not aquatic. Liverworts, they are not. So none of them is aquatic. So the answer is not A. B, is it because all grow in a desert? No. They are all found around us and we are not living in the desert. Are seedless plants? Is it because they don't have seed? Yes. They don't have seed.
Yes, sir.
They don't have seed. What they have is spore. Spore. They don't have seed. So you can mark it by yourself. Now number two is JAMB 1984 question 4. It says Spirogyra and mucor can be grouped together. Why? Because what? Is it because they are unicellular? No. Spirogyra has plenty cells held together by filament. So that is not the answer. B, is it because their spores could be dispersed by wind? Is there any spores that cannot be dispersed by wind? There's no spore that cannot be dispersed by wind. So that option does not make any sense. Is it because they are capable of living independent lives? No. Is it because their bodies are made up of thallus and filament? Yes.
I got it.
So they are seedless organisms. Their body have thallus body. We say thallus body in the sense that their body is not differentiated into two roots, true stem and true leaves. We have discussed that before. Then question number 3 is JAMB 1985 question 3. He said, which of the following is seed-bearing plants? A, mosses. Mosses does not have seed. They are cryptogams. Whistly pine. Yes, that is the answer. Whistly pine. That's it behind you there. That's a whistly pine. Behind you there. That is whistly pine. Have you seen it? The one they call Christmas tree. That triangular tree. That is a whistly pine. So it's a seed-bearing plant. So let me show you. You have it in this compound, in this premises. Let me go and show you. So this is a whistly pine. This is whistly pine. You see, they call it Christmas tree. So you can see there, this is a whistly pine. It's a seed-bearing plant. So that is a whistly pine. Okay. So it cannot. So that is the answer for that question. The whistly pine. That's the answer to that question. So we are back here. We are back. Yes. The next question, which is question 4, the last question here in this section, is a bryophytes are different from flowering plants because they do what? Is it they live on moist habitat? It cannot be the answer. We also have flowering plants that live on a moist habitat. So that's not the answer. They are smaller. They are small plants. Is that the reason? No, we have small flowering plants too. They reproduce sexually and asexually. No, Flowering plants also do that. Then have no vascular tissue. That's the answer now. They don't have vascular tissue. I've repeated this one. Vascular bundle that was talking about vein and artery through which blood flow in your body. I explained. You remember when I was saying it now? I said that they don't have, that's why they are not established on land. That is why they don't need to have root. Their root does not absorb nutrients. They are attached to walls, and when rain falls, the nutrient they need, they bait them. It's in the note I gave to you. Have you forgotten? So that is that. So let's look at the correction of this work, this class work. The first one, in a plant exhibiting alternation of generation, the diploid multicellular stage is known as what? Which one is diploid? Out of the sporophyte and the gametophyte, which one is diploid? It's sporophyte. Which one is parogyra? Sporophyte. Sporophyte is diploid. That's what I told you now.
I got it. I should mark myself.
When mark it. Now, number 6. In the reproduction of mosses, water is essential because what? A. They live in moist habitat. No. They cannot reproduce without water. No. The male gamete must swim to fertilize the ovum. That is the answer.
I'm too good at it.
So they need water. The term Bryophyta refers to, when I was teaching you yesterday, I told you that Bryophyta only contains algae. Green algae, which are chlorophyta, red algae, which are rhodophyta, then yellow algae, which are phaeophyta. But in the olden days, not nowadays, when fungi were still considered to be plants, then they said Bryophyta contain fungi and algae. Are we there? But fungi now is now in his kingdom on his own now because of two things. One, fungi is no longer a plant because plants must have chlorophyll. Fungi does not have chlorophyll. Does mushroom have chlorophyll? Is it green? Bread mold that spoil bread, that black particle, is it green? Can it carry out photosynthesis? No. Another thing is that plants store carbohydrate as starch, but fungi store carbohydrate as glycogen. Then another thing is that plants have cellulose cell wall, but fungi have chitin cell wall. Are we there now? So that is why they now remove fungi totally from what? From plant kingdom. But in the context of this exam now, so what will now be your answer? That is algae and fungi, and that is option B. Number 8, Spirogyra, Euglena, and Chlamydomonas share many characteristics except what? What characteristics do you not share? Nutrition is one of the characteristics of all living things. All living things. Then reproduction is one of the characteristics of living things. Irritability is one of them. Mobility, that's the answer. Mobility, ability to move. Which one cannot move among them? Which one? Spirogyra cannot move. Euglena has flagella that can use to move. Chlamydomonas has flagellum that can use to move. So answer here that is not shared is what? Is D. That's mobility. Because Spirogyra does not have motor structure that can use to move. Then we have the algae. The algae, Bryophyta and pteridophytes are similar in that what do they have in common?
They are seedweed.
They are what? No, they are not seedweed. B, they have no vascular tissue. Let's check. Algae does not have vascular tissue. Bryophyte does not have vascular tissue. But pteridophyte has vascular tissue. That's not the answer to. Option C, require moisture for fertilization. That is the answer. They need water because the sperm needs to swim towards the what? The egg cell. So let's look at another one. This should be the last classwork now before we go to chemistry. Chemistry, we don't have anything to do than classwork. It's work we have done yesterday. We want to test ourselves on iron.
So I got
I know we still have 5 more questions to answer in biology.
On that side, I must get that.
So you begin to know your fate now. So you want to write JAMB. Are you writing more?
I'll write more.
Who register you for more?
But that's how I will write more.
And you don't write JAMB?
I'll write JAMB.
He register you for JAMB?
Yeah, yes. But what? Not this year, next year.
But I told me that you say You should focus on physics.
Nothing more. Physics, chemistry, and biology. That is in maths.
And you should need to be doing math now because of why.
See, I need to do maths, standard,
Is it? Yeah. Okay, maybe I should stop teaching you math. It is a professor that can teach you. I have professors, so I can recommend though. I will teach you that your head will tear. You don't want your head to tear. With book. Oh.
So is it the same oral question they will set for them? You say that they should set for them next year?
Yes, now. We have another new question. Just master all these things.
I will carry the people question. I will not come to this book. See that is certified new past question. I will know how to answer everything. But I will not do theory, sir.
JAMB, there's no theory in JAMB.
No, that people should get 3 something. Sir, but why can I write why in my school?
For them to do runs there.
I don't know what they want.
Oh, guy, you know for them. You want to tell me what I'm doing? I'm a teacher. You don't know I'm a teacher. You don't know that I'm a teacher.
I know, sir.
So you want to deceive me with my what I know before you were born? Want to deceive me?
That means I will just get in one all my subjects.
Very easy to pass white now. Very, very easy. But it's very good for you to learn well, because it's not to pass, it's to enter university and graduate. You don't know.
I want to break the history in Nigeria.
We will break it all.
Sir, you will stop at number 9. You are ready for number 12. So stop at number 9.
How?
Why will we stop at?
Where did we stop?
Number 9.
So this is number 10 now.
Yes.
11.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 11, 12, 13, 14. So if your hands here and start gumming by itself, what should happen to you? If your hands here and start gumming by itself, so you not pick this one and start gumming, what will happen?
What will happen to you now?
I'm scared. Now I have tears, now gumming. Maybe for wake up this morning, everything I've already gone. I'll be giving you best of my days.
Yeah. Okay, let's.
Sherry, who is here, barrister?
Let's go.
Daddy barrister.
Daddy what?
Daddy barrister.
I remember that your daddy is there, barrister.